working toward mortality, ignoring finality. Wreckage mounts, identifying your own soul becomes impossible. It is
All right. Checking out the levels of everything. Looks all good. Visuals look good. Let's get going. All right. Welcome, everyone, to the stream. Today, we are going to be using Fresco on the iPad. And the whole point of this is I need some new assets, right? And this has been a theme the past couple of projects. I need some new assets for a book that I'm writing, well, that I'm revising. But there's a lot of revisions to it. It's the third edition of the Adobe Animate for Creative Professionals book. So I want to create some assets. These assets are going to be used in part of a nested animation chapter. Well, it's not all about nested animation, but it's got to do with symbols and nested timelines and things like that. So I need to gather some assets, and some interesting assets instead of just like, circles and squares and junk like that. Stuff that actually is things that people animate. So that's what we're doing today. So welcome if you're here live. I've actually got the chat popped out because you usually can't see the chat on the replays, You can't see the chat on the replays, but you can see it here. So if I share it in my screen, like I'm doing up top, then we can see it. So feel free to chat in the chat, and your chat will be preserved. So yeah, I've just got like an 8K image opened up here. Blank canvas. I'm going to create a couple things here. I need some sort of a background that I guess I'll probably do like more of a watercolory type background, right? So we're going to do that. I'm going to need some kind of plants. So I'm going to create some plants, probably use vectors for those. And what else do I need? Background, I need plants. Drive the sun. So the sun, I'll probably also make as sort of like a watercolor kind of thing. I don't know. Let's start out with that because that's going to be the easier of the two. So I'm going to go up here in my canvas and let's grab a live brush and just do a rough background, right? Rough background, rough sun. So we need a sky. Nice blue sky color. Like this. What do we have for my brush here? We've got watercolor. Perfect. Let's do... Ooh, weird stuff going on. Let's do watercolor wash soft. A nice background. And I want this pretty big. So initially, like I'm thinking for a square, right? What I'm doing this for, of course, is going to be taken up into Adobe Animate. And then it's going to be animated in some way. So I definitely want...
Through the veil of purgation,
I definitely want...
touch us. No one can touch
it to
us.
be interesting to look at. And I'm going for this kind of like watercolor sketchy kind of thing here.
From ghosts.
Let's just add water. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Why did it add purple in there? That's weird. Purple. Nice. But yeah, it's kind of... You can think about this as like the stage inside of Animate, right? Just sketching. My iPad's a little bit laggy. You know what's weird about this iPad too? If you look up top, it says it's 9:41 a.m. on Tuesday, January the 9th. Which is interesting because the iPad clock has read that consistently for months and months and months. It's not January, it's September. But, you know, here we are. In September. Not January. Just gonna get that going a little bit. Sometimes when it comes to watercolors and the flow in Fresco, sometimes instead of even using the pencil, you know, just use your fingers. Especially for like background stuff like this. Sometimes it works out just as well. So just finger paint, you know? Alright, so that's looking pretty good. We are going to use that for the background, so. Yeah, it's funny, I'm revising this book, and I got to the point in the chapter where, you know, we've got this new exercise that I need assets for. And, you know, I'm like, well, I like to, like, create assets during this stream because it gives me, like, real-world stuff to do in the stream. And then, like, you know, it's made for use later on, which is nice. Let's add in a new layer. Change the watercolors to something like a... Well, do we want green, maybe? Let's do some green and some brown. So we're creating just a little watercolor landscape that's going to be eventually animated inside of Adobe Animate. So just kind of layering it. I like to layer the watercolors to make it look really sketchy like this. It adds some additional stuff to it that if you were just laying it on really thick, just straight out of the gate, it would appear very different, right? Switch over to our brown. Thank you, brown. And yeah, we're not being like super precise about any of this. Like even the edges, right? So we got stuff going off the edges. Once we bring this into Animate, the stage will define, right, how large this thing is. We'll be able to modify it to fit whatever we're working on the stage. We are just doing this rough landscape to bring into Animate later on. And I really like using Fresco stuff in Animate as well. It's great to be able to, you know, take something that you drew with pencil, with even your fingers or whatever, bring it into Animate, and then animate it. All right, so there's our background. I'm gonna shift over here. Oopsie. Shift over here, because what we also want is, I'm gonna animate the sun coming up. So we've got this layer here, which is the ground. We've got the background right here, but we also need a sun. Actually, I'm gonna put it. Why not just make it where it's gonna go? Right? It's gonna go between the background and our call it sky. I don't know why eraser is chosen. I didn't choose eraser. Animate, Fresco, Photoshop. You're all crazy. Here's the sun. It's an angry, bright yellow color. Right? Oh, what are we doing here? Using the wrong brush. There we go. So just building it up, right? This will be pretty cool. It'll be like a sketchy animation. Oh, I see we got some. Oh, Reverb Mike. Hello. How are you doing? I don't know if you're just joining us or if you've been here for a bit, but yeah, I'm basically creating assets for a book revision I'm working on. And yeah, it'll be pretty fun. We're going to animate all these things separately in the exercise. We're going to have some nested animation, things like that. So I'm also going to draw out some plants and some other things that we can use for these purposes. But I think I'm going to make those as vectors using vector brushes. Yeah, and you can see I've done all of these on their own particular layer. So that, of course, you know, when I animate them, I can animate that up and so forth, right? And yeah, I'm not animating inside of Fresco. Yeah, exactly, like a live water paint, like animated, sketchy water paint. So this canvas is pretty big. It's 8K. So nice high-res stuff for my content. So what I want to do now is switch gears. Let's create some additional stuff here, right? So now I'm going to go over to my vector brushes because I do want to I want to have some vectors that I can sort of manipulate inside of Animate, right? And these are going to be more like the plants that I'm looking to create. So I think I like the jitter brushes. I like light jitter. That works pretty good for this sort of thing. Let's see how big we want this. Something like that. Then we'll go through and create a nice plant color. Green, right? And here we go. Let's see how things go here. Smoothing is at 50. Let's put it up a little bit. Just tweaking some of these attributes of the brush here. Let's add some taper to everything to make it look like a, you know, a frond or something, leaf of a plant. And there we go. I think we're ready to go. Let's try it out a little bit.
Walking in circles. Giving
And I probably want to keep these separate to some extent. You know, there was a what was it? It was like a video tutorial that I did for the Animate team some time back that involved things like this, but we didn't use Fresco because it wasn't out yet. I'm trying to think what we actually used to create the assets here. So I'm going to create a couple of these like clumps of grass type plants, and my visuals look weird because I've got my iPad just like right down here, like lighting beneath my face, which is a little strange looking on the camera feed, but that's all right. Sometimes the hand detection doesn't quite work out here. There we go. And it chose my eraser again. It's so weird. This happens to me all the time with Fresco. Oops, wrong brush. There we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create these basic clumps like this. And then I'm going to go in and provide some sort of additional shading, right? With additional coloring. I just need a couple of these. Maybe I'll do 4. Yeah, the vectors are fun to use, you know? And of course, something like Animate, you know, they can be sort of essential. Consider them as essential. Because Animate does a great job of animating vector content.
Again, in these woods.
Okay. I'm going to switch over to Darken. And then finally we'll lighten these as well. Right now these are all in the same layer. That's fine. There's plenty of stuff we can do to break these up. Whether it's inside of Animate, inside of Illustrator, Photoshop. Because of course this is Fresco, so it is a Photoshop document in essence. This will actually show up immediately if I go into Photoshop at this point. It'll show up in my cloud documents in Photoshop. I'll be able to open it up. So yeah, again, the chat is open. You can see it up there. Reverb Mike is the only one who's said hello. I know there's other people here. So please do say hi and let me know what you're doing today, what you're working on, what you've been doing over the past week or so. So I do these streams every week. Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Pacific is how things work out right now. And they're fun. I have fun. Probably not everybody has fun. That's okay. These almost look like seaweed, actually. Now I'm like, maybe I should be making an underwater scene instead of, you know, this landscape, right? Maybe I'll do another one that's more of an underwater and see kind of what I like at the end, right? Get some choices. No. Yeah, right now at the university, I am teaching today in my class. We're doing some Photoshop. We're doing Photoshop in terms of sort of like healing, restoration, colorization, stuff like that. That's pretty fun. Let's see what's down here more. I'm gonna add an additional set of quick details. I mean, these almost look like flames, right? Does look more like seaweed than grass, though. Which wasn't my intention, but that's how this stuff works, right? I didn't really want to undo that. That's okay. Yeah, when you're dealing with just creating stuff on the fly, without a huge plan, things just kind of happen, you know? So there we go. I've got some of those. I'll be able to animate those easily using shape tweens because they're vector shapes. So I bring this into Animate. I can easily create some nested animation of these plants just kind of like wavering in the wind. Hello, Usman, am I saying that correctly? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, they are tropical looking. Reverb mic. Yeah, I could make them into flowers, but I don't think I want to get that complicated. I don't know. Maybe. I could make an alternate sun too. Maybe the sun could be... I don't know if I really want to do this, but it's fine because you can make anything you want, right? Digitally. And it doesn't matter because you can always just like change your mind, erase it. Whatever. So there's that. See, the problem, of course, with doing stuff like this is in vector is you got to be kind of stylistic about it. Well, I guess that's not a problem necessarily, but yeah, so there's a little vector sun right there. I'm not sure which one I'll actually use, if I'll use the watercolor sun or the vector-based sun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Bob Ross had a good way of looking at stuff like this. So let us shift some of this stuff over. So again, one of the nice things about digital is I can move stuff around, right? So we can move this wherever we want. And I'm just going to stick it right up here. Perfect. Oh, cancel lasso. Deselect. Yeah, it's always neat, like, you know, kind of how stuff works across these different applications, right? And I try to emphasize this with my students, is like, you know, you learn how to do like certain things like layer management, right? Inside of Photoshop or Adobe Express or Fresco. You got layers. You know, you've got it. It's going to work across After Effects, across Animate, Illustrator, whatever else you use that uses layers, it's going to work. And, you know, even translating that into something like tracks for Audition and Premiere Pro and everything, like, it's not a big deal, you know? All right, let's do an underwater kind of thing. Because, again, I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to go with it, if I'm going to use the landscape up here, which I probably will because it was my original idea. I tend to think a lot like use your original idea for different things, you know, because usually like intuition can be helpful, right? So intuition is not something to be like, oh no, second guess this, right? Like you get that intuition and it's like, okay, like let's see what we can do with this, you know? So I'll probably stick with it, but yeah, we'll see what happens when I get to writing this particular exercise in the book. All right, let's see. Set this guy up. We're using live brushes again. It's watercolor. And we're going to do the same kind of thing. Let's just sort of like make an outline of what could be the scene, the stage. Express. And then we'll just start filling it in. Increase that flow quite a bit. And again, like using your fingers sometimes works a bit better. Increases the right? I'm actually just using my finger right now. We'll take it down a bit. Just brush across. Look at that. It's doing it without me. No hands. That's what happens with Fresco sometimes, right? Is it needs to catch up. If you're using live brushes especially, which I am right here. And Fresco's like, hey, guy, wait a minute. I'm still kind of making things happen. I almost think I need to upgrade my iPad at this point. I've actually had this one. This is an iPad Pro. I've had it, oh gosh, probably since, I think it's like December of 2019. Which ain't, I mean, it's 3 years, right? That's not too old. Well, wait, is it 4 years? I guess it'll be 4 years in December that I've had it, so. Yeah. So let's see, with if this is in the ocean, it's weird. So like, yeah, these things look like they could be seaweed, but I'm thinking like I'm just not familiar with the ocean. So, you know, I can't, I get very claustrophobic. I tried to do scuba diving once, and, you know, they do like, they make you go through a test in a swimming pool first, where you like put the stuff on your head and everything, and it was just like too much. I was like, hell no, I'm not doing this, you know? So I've never been in the sea. I have been in a field and in the sky and things like that. So it's a little different. I guess purple might be okay. Violet. Whittle that down. And yeah, I'm probably not going to use this, but yeah, it's fun as an alternative, right? I guess I could include it in the book as an alternative and be like, hey, you know, if you guys prefer, go ahead and use these assets instead. Yeah, here's the deep, right? Maybe some green. I imagine the sea is full of green as well as blue. Some green tints to this, especially up top, closer to where the sun is. Even though you can't see the sun, because we're under the water. Pretty deep, right? So there's another background. I don't know what else I could do for it. So let's create some more plants. I don't know. Maybe. What should I do? Should I... I'm trying to think what... Nah, no fish. I'm not happy with the sea, you know? With what I've done. I'm not happy with it. I'm probably like 100% not going to use that. But, you know. See, I'm kind of familiar with a fishy fish, right? I know what fishies are. You know what's really creepy? I don't know if you've all seen this sort of thing, but there's certain fish that have like a what almost looks like a human face. You know, if you look at it the right way, that's the creepy stuff. I'm not into that. I like creepy stuff, you know, but when it comes to that sort of like that point where like something's just like very like it's either like too close to something familiar like a human face, or you look at something and you know something's not quite right about it. Like maybe it's a person and there's just something wrong with the eyes, and you're like, I'm not sure if this is actually a person or if it's some sort of like facsimile. Yeah, it's there's freaky stuff out there. Hello, Fatima. Welcome. Yeah, so what are you all doing? Actually, this fish came out pretty nice. I like the fish. Maybe I could use the fish for something else, Let's put in another layer down here and let's color the fish because I'm happy with it. Good fish. What should I use? Let's go ahead and do some watercolors again. Just color that fish in. It's like, what color is a fish? I mean, I guess it's sort of make him a little violet, a little blue. And take that down a bit. Take this up quite a bit. It's funny, we're underwater and doing, changing the water flow of our brush. Yeah. All right. Yes. Let's go. Yeah, so maybe I'll use some of this stuff for other stuff, because so the book revision I'm doing, so during the height of the coronavirus pandemic, right? When we had like lockdowns and junk like that. Like that's when I wrote the first edition of this book, because I was like, you know what? I'm not going anywhere. I'm just stuck here all the time. Might as well write a book. So that's kind of how that happened, right? I'm sure there's similar stories with other people where it's like, what the hell am I doing, So here I do want to use the eraser. Thank you. The revision to the book, the second edition, which is the current version, didn't change all that much. I added things like the new warped assets and anything that was new. Had a whole new chapter on that and everything, so that was cool. One of the problems, though, with doing that is the Animate team kind of delayed some of the stuff. Ooh, I don't want that. They delayed some of that stuff. So what ended up happening was, we had to kind of put it off on the publishing side of things as well. Which, if you ever worked with a publisher, they don't want to do that, They've got certain things lined up and ready to go, and it's not their favorite thing to say, hey, let's put the brakes on this for a month or so while, this product team gets their stuff together. So yeah, I mean, it's, nothing terrible, but most of that book was kind of the same. Which is fine, of course. But this third edition that I'm writing right now is very, very different, because we are, so one of the things the publisher wanted for the third edition of this Animate book is they wanted to get things going a lot faster. So in the current version of this book that you can go out and get right now, we have about 4 chapters straight off the bat that sort of they're more like explaining things, and it's like a quarter of the book, which I like it. You know, I wrote it, obviously I like it. A lot of history, a lot of fundamentals around, you know, what to know about different things with Animate. It's a lot of good stuff, in my opinion. But they wanted to get to the hands-on stuff faster, which I can also understand, right? So the 3rd edition of the book, that is one of the things that we are doing, is we are getting to the nitty-gritty. We're getting to actually hands-on with the content much, much quicker. Much quicker. So a lot of the stuff that I had in there, I consider it as good stuff, right? But, you know, I did have to sort of... Oh, goodbye, Fatima. Have a nice day. You know, I had to actually take that stuff, and if I want to keep it, then I gotta, like, fit it in somewhere else, you know? Thankfully, it does organically fit in a lot of different places. Some stuff I did have to, like, remove. That was just, like, you know, either stuff that was, like, who cares at this point, or, you know, other things that are kind of like, oh, do people really care for that? You know, people really need to know that. And it's like, yeah. But it's coming out really nice. It's a very different process this time, just because there's so much that's changing. And as you can tell, I'm just going through right now and just cleaning up some of these edges here with my eraser. Yeah, it's pretty good. Very nice. Stop it. Yeah, look at him. Ah, he's a good fish. Yeah, I gotta use this fish somewhere in the book. I'm not sure where. But he came out pretty cool. It was a good suggestion, Reverb Mike. Thank you. Yeah, we might be able to do that. Actually, gosh. There is a new feature in Animate that might actually work really well with this fish. We'll see. Let's go ahead and create like one more asset. Hello, Sandeep. Welcome. Let me know what's up with you. Actually, let me check on some stuff here. On the Behance side of things. See how stuff's going. Oh, Matthias is streaming right now. Here, I'm going to give you all a link to Matthias Clay's... I hope I can say his name correctly. Matthias Klesner's live stream. So he is another Adobe education leader who live streams on behalf of Adobe for Education. Let's copy that and paste it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so there you go. I'm not sure if he... I guess he started after me, it looks like. But he's doing some stuff on building a magazine cover. So, yeah, as we wrap up here, maybe go over and see how everything's going with Matthias. But I'm not quite done yet, right? I've got some other things to maybe sketch. One of those things might be kind of like a twiggy little tree. Something. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll wrap it up after that. I'm going to go into my vector brushes again. Let's choose like a dark brown color. And we'll make a new layer. So yeah, this is something, we had a tree in the last edition of the book. And it was in that last chapter that I wrote that had to do with the new modern rigging and warped assets and everything inside of Animate. But it might be, it might be interesting to create another tree for this. Yeah, this isn't gonna work. Let's do a stick. And we do not need this. Let me see here. Yeah, the taper's fine. I don't want velocity dynamics. Pressure dynamics, that's fine. So if you don't know, you can actually like draw on this little preview here. It says try the brush, you know. But you can draw there and see what it looks like straight up. You don't have to do it on here, right? And then undo, things like that. So I'm gonna see about this here. So I'm thinking twig, right? Branch, twig, something like that. And again, I'm not sure if I'm going to use all this stuff, right? When I actually write these chapters. Some of the stuff I definitely am. So. It's stuff that will. Some of this stuff will get published. It's not everything. But definitely some of this stuff. See, Fresco is one of those great things, you know. I could just spend so much time just using Fresco. And that's probably one of the reasons that I use it so much. I mean, I don't use it a ton on the stream, you know, but it's a good thing to do, especially if you're not sure, if you don't have any other projects going on to stream about. If you don't have any ideas. Oh, that came out terrible. Oh, geez, Joseph. I just punched my microphone. I hope that didn't injure anyone watching. Sorry. I'm usually a lot better at that. Oops. I do enjoy undo. Very nice. Yeah, so we get this nice little twig coming out here, right? And yeah, we might find a way to animate this. In Animate, right? And it's always weird, right? Because we talk about animating things when I'm drawing stuff like this. And of course, Fresco does have a animation feature to it. You can create animation inside of here. This little guy right there. But I do not animate in Fresco, so I don't even know how to use that. Maybe that would be a good stream one day. To have like, you know, basically an Adobe Animate user's perspective on the Animate tools inside of Fresco.
In this cycle of despair.
That's a pretty good branch. You know, I don't know. This guy right here, I don't know if I like him. Let's thicken him up a little bit. Oh, it's too much. That's better. And of course, you can clean this stuff up afterwards, you know, inside of Illustrator, Photoshop, whatever you prefer. You could do it in Animate too, right? Yeah.
The dead.
Anyhow,
Through the veil of purgation.
it's pretty good.
But cannot touch us.
Make sure to save this.
No one.
And like I say, once I save it, it's going to be available for use elsewhere. So I'm going to bring this into Adobe Animate across a couple of projects. And I'm going to animate these things. Hello, Raquel. Welcome. I am probably wrapping up right here. So again, I linked off to Matthias's little live stream. And he's doing... What is he doing? He's doing a magazine cover using Adobe Express. So if you want to check that out, I would suggest go hang out with Matthias. But I think I'm going to stop at this point, and maybe I'll just share this on Behance, right? It's a Behance project. Might as well, right? Another good thing about Fresco, it lets you just do this really easily, because if you all know, like, I mean, I like Behance, but, you know, manually creating, publish. Manually creating a project takes a number of steps, right? You need, like, a certain cover image, you need your assets, you need this and that. Oh, failed uploading. Well, shoot. That kind of sucks. I just told everybody how great you are at this, Fresco. There we go. It worked. So, wonderful. All right. You know what? I am going to pop in and say hello to Matthias, I think, as well. Yeah, let's click on, I'm going to click on this link right here. And, oh, it looks like he's actually done. Oh, well. Anyhow, everyone, thank you for coming. If you're watching the recording of this, of course, thank you for your time with that. And with that, I'm out. I'll see you all next week if you show up. If you don't, then, yeah, later. Oh, Christina, hi. I was just wrapping up here. I was actually trying to plug Matthias's stream, but yeah, I just went over there and his stream's done. Yeah, so I told everybody go over to his stream when I finish, but he's done already, so that's not gonna work out. But anyway, oh, that's fine, Christina. Thanks for popping in and saying hello. Wonderful. All right. Well, everyone, I am going to close it out. So, thank you. Have a good week. And goodbye.
Fog so thick, cannot see. Searing light burns into me. Keep me hidden. Eyes